Welcome to Talks with Alona, Untold Stories. I am your host, Alona, and this series is all about coronavirus stories from around the world. Today, I'll be talking to Collin Scarborough. He's an American Army officer based in South Korea. Full disclaimer, all the stories in this series are real stories about real people, but this should not be your only source of information. Please go on the CDC and WHO websites for the most up-to-date information and advice on the coronavirus. So, Colin, you are an American Army officer. First of all, thank you for your service.
Okay.
And it's honestly just an honor that you're here with me and that you're going to answer my questions. And I think you're going to be so valuable to everyone that's listening right now.
Yes.
You are in Camp Casey, right? You were deployed in Camp Casey, South Korea.
Yep.
Why are you in South Korea? Where is Camp Casey in South Korea?
So we're on what's called the Korea Rotational Force. So we have several different types of units that are here. I'm with a long range artillery unit. So it's our job to be ready to deter North Korean aggression and to reassure our South Korean ally that we're here for them. We're actually coming up on the 70th anniversary of the start of the Korean War this year. So it's cool to be over here at this time to reassure the Koreans we're here for you. We have been here for you.
Sure.
And we will go to war with you if that's what it takes to defend your home.
And you were there since kind of like before everything happened with the virus, right? Or when did you find out about the virus? And obviously Korea was kind of like front and center right after China. So how did that news come out to you? When did it come out? And what was like that initial reaction?
So it was getting towards late January. So I listened to BBC World News podcasts every day, and also Monocle, their news podcasts every day. So we had a pretty good early warning system for this might be an issue. There's a lot of trade that goes on between South Korea and China.
Mm-hmm.
So when all those reports started coming out about this virus in Wuhan, so we actually had soldiers on leave in China, just as tourists. One of the perks of being here in Korea is you're 15 hours ahead of America, and Asia's your back door.
Right.
So for your 18, 19-year-old public high school kid who I was, being in Korea is pretty cool.
Cool for anyone.
Yeah. So we started getting hints about the virus in late January, early February, and I was actually at the port in the bottom portion of Korea. We were loading my unit's equipment onto a ship to come home, and that's when strong precautionary measures started to be taken. You can see the Koreans wearing masks. We had certain restrictions on where we could go, and that's when my family started asking me questions about what's going on, why is this becoming a big deal, etc.
Right. Do you feel like all the appropriate steps were taken where you felt comfortable being there? Whether it be at work or even when you were outside, or could have something been done better?
Great question. So there are 28,000 soldiers from the United States here in Korea, and one of them has tested positive for the virus.
Wow.
The entire time.
Wow. And you guys get tested, like you were given the option to get tested, or you have to have symptoms, or
you have to present with symptoms. Okay. Which we think our case, he came down in late February, so it's been about a month when he was sick, but he had interacted with someone in Daegu, which is really the epicenter in Korea, as their fourth largest city. And he came down with it and was very quick, like, hey, I'm not feeling well.
Yeah.
Got tested, and he was isolated. I mean, very fast.
Wow. Okay.
So our command is taking this extremely seriously, because if we're sick, we can't fight.
Of course.
Right. We're not ready to do our job.
Right.
How do you feel South Korea was kind of portrayed in the media? You know, you said you listen to BBC, maybe you have access
Yeah.
to like North American news. So how
Mhm.
do you feel like it was valid, or what is your input on that?
Totally valid. There was, I think, a little bit of misunderstanding of the severity. And again, this is me speaking. I don't represent the
Yeah,
service
yeah,
or anybody.
absolutely. Sure.
Um, but because I remember listening, and being like, "Is it really that bad over here?"
Hmm.
I'm like, "This it's just like 100 miles away. It shouldn't be that bad." But I think one of the BBC reporters, I can't remember her name, she gave a great report. Gosh, this was like February. It's like right around Valentine's Day
Hmm.
of really how this is moving.
Yeah.
Uh, and really it shows like how like interconnected of a world we've become. Where like Wuhan, China was really on nobody's radar
Right.
90 days ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you are you guys quarantined? Like, what's going on? Do you have any rules surrounding what you could do and what you can't do at the moment?
Yeah, so we up until about 3 days ago, we could leave our installation and go out to the town, but we had to wear a mask. We had to sign out with our leadership to let them know where we're going. We cannot go into any type of like a bar, club, or restaurant to sit down and eat. We have to get to go.
Mm-hmm.
It started with, so I got back from the port right after Valentine's Day, and when I got back, we could not go further south than Uijeongbu, which is on the north side of Seoul, by
Okay.
about 20 miles.
Okay.
And then it got more restrictive as time went on.
Hmm.
What's like one of the positive outtakes from all of this that's happening globally?
So, so as officers, we're planners. We're looking into the future and seeing what could be on the horizon, and this has opened up a brand new way of thinking for us. And I think a great positive outcome for military is going to be how can we plan a response to a event like this, and how can we maintain our ability to do our job in the midst of it.
Sure.
So that's it's like that mental shift. It's been, I think, is will be a
Sure.
net positive out of this.
That's I really like that outlook. And speaking of planning, where do you think we're heading now? I mean, like I'm in New York City and we kind of live hour by hour, things
Yeah,
change. Where do you think we'll be in 2 weeks? Where do you think we'll be maybe in 2 months?
that's a great question. I think when we experience the movement of the cultural shift
Mm-hmm.
to social distancing and the protective message will really become just a fact of life. I think it'll be easier for people to cope with. The human spirit is incredibly resilient, and we saw that in New York after 9/11, London following their terrorist attacks. But I think I hope we see like a uniting around one common goal, one common spirit, and that we can move forward. Really, it's now a global community,
Yeah.
not necessarily like a strictly in national terms,
Mm-hmm.
but as an as an international. Because the only thing this has done is show us like, man, we are completely interconnected.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your service, and I'm
absolutely.
honored to have you here. Thank you so much.